This is Dennis Michelson. It's time to go down on the farm and visit with Mr. Scott Lay. He's the Senior Director of Commercial Development for the Agrison Company. In the fall season, we always talk about that application of Titan XC, talk a little bit about how this works and how it gets the most out of those fall fertilizer treatments.
Titan XC is our flagship product. It's applied as an impregnation on dry phosphorus and potash, which obviously for your listeners, fall fertilizer is the first thing that occurs, the first act for the 2024 season. So as we are in amidst fall football season, I liken it to the game of football. The first play of a football game is, of course, the opening kickoff. And if the ball goes in the end zone, the receiver can elect to take a knee and start at the 20-yard line. But with Titan, in essence, instead of taking a knee and starting at the 20-yard line, we're able to start that first possession 15 to 20 yards farther down the field as a result of the technology helping to mineralize and break down those fertilizer prills, making them more available for next year's crop.
You guys understand ag producers don't want to have an extra trip across that field because that's money that they're spending, and Titan XC does not require an extra pass.
Again, Titan is applied on the dry fertilizer, so whether the local nutrient retail facility is applying the dry fertilizer or the farmer himself is applying that, applying the Titan doesn't make that job or act any more difficult. And while providing a benefit that's been treated on 75 million acres over the last decade, and the results in terms of a yield impact, we're looking at about 11 bushel yield response on average in corn and about a 4.2 bushel average response in soybeans. So the economics stack up very favorably.
As we're talking more than a 7-to-1 ROI when you add the cost of the product.
That's correct. And again, we like to understand farm economics, and any farmer that's worth his salt obviously looks at what is the average potential for response. They're also looking at how many additional bushels do I need to pay for that additional input. And as it relates to Titan, the math works out very favorably. In soybeans, a farmer would only need 0.6 additional bushels to pay for that Titan. In corn, 1.5 bushels. So again, farmers are all riverboat gamblers at heart, and they put their bets or chips behind reasonable propositions. Titan is one of those with a high probability of payback, which obviously impacts return on investment.
Scott, you talk about those 75 million acres. That's the best way to test product is out there in the field, but the lab tests have also shown a 22% increase for the first year use as far as available nutrients in those soils. That's a huge advantage.
It is. And again, in any farm setting, you're not going to be able to visualize that, and we recognize it. So we want to apply science to our technologies. And we've been able to prove that in several different lab settings and in university environments. And again, if we think about a dry fertilizer prill, we're applying rocks to the surface of the ground, albeit small rocks. So the objective is to mineralize those fertilizer prills into plant-usable form. If we can increase that rate of mineralization or by 22%, that translates to a benefit in next year's crop that translates to yield. It's very consistent.
And Scott, while you guys have not said, oh, this is a substitute for other fertilizers, you found that producers that reduce inputs in the fall, because they get that added benefit from Titan XC, they could save themselves a little money.
Again, Titan is not a replacement for phosphate or potash. We readily recognize that. As high yields come off, there is a need to replace those pounds of P and K with commercial fertilizer. But we also recognize if we are able to make those applied nutrients more available to the plant, sometimes the answer is not more fertilizer. And as it relates to Titan, a customer can choose to reduce their fertilizer rate by as little as 5 to 8%, a negligible amount, and that is essentially the cost of Titan. So in those instances, they could apply Titan with the fertilizer for no additional cost.
Scott, if those fertilizer prices continue to come down a little bit, they can get the benefit of both worlds there without having to sacrifice. It gives the producer another play in the playbook to go to, depending on where those fertilizer prices are.
That's right. And again, we recognize while Titan is valuable and Titan performs consistently, it's a complex system. It's a systems approach to raising a crop, and Titan is a valuable part, but not the only part of the equation as it relates to high yields come next fall.